Hi class, in this video we're going to be talking about parts per million and we're going to go over some calculations involving parts per million. So when we have concentrations of chemicals in the environment and the concentration is very small, we can usually represent it using milligrams per liter, or we use something called parts per million, which is represented with ppm here. Now parts per million is described as the concentration of solute divided by the total solution. And yeah, let's go over some examples of this. So in our first example here, we want to calculate the concentration in parts per million of an alcohol/water solution. If 2 drops of alcohol are stirred into water to make 1 liter or 1,000 milliliters of solution. So first things first, let's identify our solute here. It's going to be alcohol. And for that alcohol, it has 2 drops, and 2 drops is going to be equal to 2 milliliters because 1 drop is 1 milliliter. So I have 2 milliliters of alcohol. Now for my solution is going to be 1,000 milliliters. Now the reason I didn't use 1 liter instead of 1,000 milliliters is because I want to have the same units for the solute and the solution. So now that I have the same units, when I divide them, 2 divided by 1,000 is going to be 0.002. Because I have the same units and I'm dividing the same units by the same units, they cancel out. So I'm just left with 0.002. Now to represent this as parts per million, I have to take my 0.002 concentration and multiply it by 1 million. Hence where the name parts per million comes from. So after I multiply it by 1 million, I'm now going to get an answer of 2,000. And my units will now be ppm, which stands for parts per million. So we can represent a concentration as parts per million or just leave it as such. Now, moving on to my second example here, I want to calculate the concentration in parts per million for a salt/water solution. If 0.03 milliliters of salt are poured into water to make a 1,000 milliliter solution. So my salt here is my solute. So I'm going to get 0.03 milliliters worth of it. And now my solution is going to be 1,000 milliliters. I'm going to now divide the two. Since my units are the same, that's excellent. 0.03 divided by 1,000 is going to be 0.00003. And that's my concentration of salt to the total solution. Now, if I want to represent this using parts per million, because we don't want to see all these zeros after the decimal place, I'm going to take my 0.00003 and multiply it by 1 million, because this is parts per million. And upon doing so, I'm going to get an answer of 30, and the units will be parts per million.